This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords.
I am definitely a madman with a box.
Anyone for jelly, baby?
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castabras.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 93.
93.
Hope you guys have had a cracking Who week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related in your lives, whatever you're doing. GCSE revision, exam stuff. Hope you found, obviously you've concentrated very much on the exams and all that stuff, but you found a little bit of time to maybe squeeze in something Doctor Who.
I've seen a lot of people picking up their 12th Doctor Sonics in the last week. A lot of people on Twitter saying, I've got one, I've got my hands there. I think they've started getting out there a bit more now. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. Good times. And I think that this particular design of this Sonic is winning people over slowly, because I think this is probably the one that's had the most divided opinion in terms of Sonics, because all the others have been fairly well received.
Yeah.
And all good. But this one, it seems to be a lot of... I think a lot of people are 50-50 on it. But slowly, they're coming round, because loads of people are buying them now.
And it's one of those that it looks so much better in hand. It's one of those things, I think, when you look at it, it looks so sort of clumsy and over detailed and all that. But when you've actually got it, it actually looks quite nice. It's just one of those things. So I think people are like, no, I don't know about it. And then you give them one, they're like, oh, actually, this is quite like it.
All right.
Yeah, it's quite good.
I quite like that one.
Yeah. And also it's got that new sound, which is like so exciting. You're like, whoa, a new sound.
That is true. As Who fans who are fairly geeky in this stuff, when there's a new Sonic sound, it's an occasion for celebration.
Yeah. I've nearly worn mine out. Keep doing it to my behalf. Oh, new Sonic sound. Yes, I know.
Yes, we know. Just
waiting for the battery to die.
I still haven't picked mine up yet.
Oh, really? Oh, you'll get one soon.
Yeah, it was my son's birthday this week, and a couple of days before, I was thinking, this is the perfect time, the perfect excuse to go back to Toys R Us to pick up the Sonic. That was my main thing, and I was like,
yeah.
So I said to my missus, I was like, right, so yeah, I know we've got his birthday sorted and stuff, but I might just pop back into Toys R Us just to pick up a couple more bits. And she was like, nope, he doesn't need any more. He's got enough stuff. I was like, yeah, but
God.
You know, I think there's a couple more bits that I might want to get him. Nope, he doesn't need any more stuff. Yeah, but I just really want to go to Toys. Nope. Okay.
For a minute, I thought you were going to say you thought it was the perfect time to buy him a sonic screwdriver. I thought, but no, you had another plan.
Well, he's got a couple already. He's got the toys of the 10th and 11th Doctor's Sonics.
Oh, right, yeah.
So he's got those, but I think he falls into that other camp in the 50-50 people where he's not too fussed about the new one.
Right.
Not yet, anyway. He might come around, but he's not saying that he doesn't like it or anything. He's not like the other ones. He was like, oh, I really want those ones. But this one, he's like, nah, whatever.
He's not too bothered.
Nah.
No, I'm with you.
So I will get it, though. The next time I'm driving past a Toys R Us, I'll run in and pick one up if they have it in stock.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Toys R Us, for the first couple of weeks, you know, they had the monopoly of it. And I was thinking they were a bit like, no, look at us. You can only buy it from us. Oh, but we're selling out. Oh, we're so cool. And now it's like other shops have got it and they haven't. And they're like, no,
yeah,
we're out of stock. But that other shop beginning with F and got a P in the other word, they've got it. And, you know, I think that their balloon has been burst. But no, it's cool, though, because it means a lot of other people can get it rather than try and have to buy one off eBay for some silly price, you know.
Yeah. It was like the kids at school that got the Boglins.
Oh my word, you're showing your age. I remember them.
Do you remember those Boglins?
Yes, I do. I had one on my desk at work for a while.
They went nuts, and they went out of stock really quickly just before Christmas. And only I think this was back in, I don't know, I was only about 6 or 7 when I got mine.
Yeah.
But it was only a few kids at school got them. because they were.
That is a real blast to pass.
Yeah, and then they were the cool kids. You wanted to hang around with them. But then when they came back into stock and everyone else got one, they were like, yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
I've got mine now.
I wonder how many of our listeners remember Boglins.
A Boglin. So
there'll be a few out there.
Yeah, they came in, I think, 2 or 3 different colours. I think I had the purple one there. It was purple, green, and I think they did a blue one at some point.
But for the benefit of anyone that doesn't remember them, just give a quick description. They were sort of like a rubbery hand puppet, sort of gruesome. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it was essentially like a little goblin
monster hand
head.
Yeah, goblin
head with like these 2 little arms that came out and a little tail at the back. And you basically, it was like a hand puppet. You could move the eyes a little bit and the mouth and stuff. But they were awesome. And you can find them on eBay now. You can still pick them up boxed. No, they're quite pricey now, but they were like the toy to have back in the mid-80s.
Yeah, if you've no idea what we're banging on about, just Google it.
Yeah.
They were the thing. They were the thing to have back in the day. Yeah.
So anyway, what have you been up to, mate? Anything Who-wise?
Who-wise? I did watch the More Than 30 Years DVD. Remember last week you bought it or whatever, and I was saying, oh, wow, and I haven't watched that for ages, love it. So as well as watching our review app, I watched that the other night, and
sweet.
I loved it. I love that DVD. So I don't know, have you had a chance to watch it yet?
I've watched the first part of it. I had to turn it off, but I've started watching it. It's great, though.
Like I say, that even though I've seen it a few times, the thing I'd forgotten about is that, they sort of have it in parts. So they have like a little cliffhanger. And then in between, they have actual adverts from back in the day, which are Doctor Who adverts, which are just like amazing. I think the first one's like a Patrick Troughton thing for a lolly, isn't it? But
that's right. Yeah,
it's not actually Patrick Troughton. It's like someone in a Doctor Who costume with Daleks going in. It's like, and then this ice cream pops up on the screen, and it's like, wow, it's just retro heaven, that DVD.
It is. Yeah, I'm going to finish watching it.
Cool idea.
Yeah, this weekend. Sorry, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, so you're on part 1, have you?
Yes. Yeah. I had to turn it off. Unfortunately, I had to go out. But yeah, it's what I've seen so far. It's one of those awesome little documentaries that I think it's never going to get old either.
No,
it's
brilliant.
It's going to it's great.
It's brilliant. I love how much effort they've gone into it. The thing that's bugging me though is I'm sure, and this is where I need the viewers to help me because I think I'm getting mixed up somewhere. I'm sure I've seen like a making of, because they've got little bits for that kid where he's going into sort of the TARDIS and like that whole beginning. With that little boy running away from Daleks, and then you've got shots of the TARDIS on the Westminster Bridge and all this. See, somewhere I remember seeing like a making of, and they were showing all these bits that they filmed in a cinema and didn't include. And also, I seem to remember the companions that were in the Cushing movies talking and outside the TARDIS. So I was thinking, where's the making of documentary? I'm sure I saw this somewhere. And now I'm starting to think maybe it's for something else. And I don't know if anyone's listening out there that knows what it is I'm thinking of, because there's nothing on the DVD in terms of a making of that More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS documentary. But I just, in the back of my mind, remember seeing this cool little documentary. And it was really good. They were sort of filming the TARDIS in sort of about the back of this cinema for something. There's all these bits that they filmed that didn't include. And I think I'm mixing it up maybe with something else. I don't know. But it's bugging me now, because as soon as I finished watching the More Than 30 Years, I instantly went to find this thing that I was thinking of, and I can't find it anywhere.
I'm sure
either it's one of my many Doctor Who dreams that's blurred into reality, or there is something else out there that I'm mixing up with. So if anyone knows what I'm banging on about, please let me know.
I'm sure there's.
I really want to see that.
There must be some listeners out there that know what you're talking about.
It's really bugging me. I just can't think what it is. But yeah, just remember certain bits like that. But
you guys haven't let us down yet.
Yeah,
so
that's
if
true.
It's there, if it exists, I'm sure they'll let us know.
That's it. So apart from that, so I watched that. I've been ploughing through the 500th issue of Doctor Who magazine, which is, God, that didn't disappoint.
Wow.
Did you get it?
Yep, I did. Yep.
It was, what an issue, isn't it? I mean, it was so cram-packed of good stuff that the folder it came in was literally exploding.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant. I mean, posters, 2 great big thick magazines, one of them with every single cover of every single issue they've ever done.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great flicking through there and seeing all those. So I've been reading a bit of that. And the only other thing I've done this week is I did think, right, I'm going to go on and buy my ticket for London Film and Comic Con. And I hadn't realised how much they've gone up.
Wow.
I'm
Yep.
shocked, actually, because I'm really looking forward to going to that. But they used to be a £5, didn't they?
Because you and I spoke about this, didn't we?
Yeah,
I think it was last week.
I thought,
Yeah.
Gary's got it wrong. He doesn't know what he's looking at the wrong thing. I thought, he's looking at the wrong prices. So I went on, and sure enough, they have jumped up in price. So maybe it's just a while since I've been, but like you, I'm sure I only paid a £5 last time I went.
I think that wasn't
To
that
get in.
long ago. Yeah, I think going back about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to pre-book a ticket. I just turned up and paid a £5 or £6.50 or something like that on the door.
Yeah.
And went in, and it was a big event even back then. So it was very busy. But I don't remember ever having to book a ticket beforehand. So, I mean, it's definitely not in line with inflation.
No way, because it's now £20 just for entry.
£20 entry, yeah.
Doesn't
it's gone up
include
a lot.
anything else. It's just £20 to get in and £1. What do they call it? Fee on top of that. So it's £21 just to get into the thing itself, which is a bit of a shock, really. I thought that was probably the early bird. I thought, that must be the early bird, but no, that's standard entry. And I think that's too much, really, because as I say, you don't really get anything for that apart from entry to the event itself, and then you've got to spend goodness knows how much on autographs and photo shoots. So I've held off a little bit, although I'm still going to go. But I'm a bit shocked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because in order for them to grow the event and get bigger people there, that's going to cost them a lot of money. And I think it all kicked off. Was it last year when they had Michael J. Fox and some other people there from Back to the Future? And
that's right.
I think last year was when it really blew up because I remember wanting to go and looking on Twitter or something, and somebody had said, "Oh, Saturday is sold out."
That's right.
That was the first time that I can remember in the last few years where, a day is sold out completely. So I think that started a trend because this year they've got, Jesse Eisenberg, a couple of people from The Big Bang Theory, some people from Game of Thrones and stuff. So they've got some real big people there. Which I think is now the trend because obviously they want it to be one of the biggest, Comic-Cons around, which is fair enough from their point of view. But in order to get those real big people there, they've got to pay the money. Yeah. Because they do charge a lot. So in order for that to happen, they need to put the ticket price up and blah, blah, blah. So I can kind of see from their point of view why the price has gone up. But it is, I mean, when you compare it to something like San Diego, like the master of all Comic-Cons, the big one in San Diego, I think that's like a couple of £100 to get in. I think it, maybe $200 around dollars, but it's certainly over £100, to get into the event. So it's kind of going that way, isn't it? It's kind of going into that very big, national sized, big, huge movie stars turning up. So I can kind of see why it is, but I was as shocked as you. When I went on there, I thought, right, I'm just going to see, because I'd seen on Twitter that they'd announced a few more people, and I thought, all right, I really should, sort out getting a ticket. And when I went on there the same as you, I was like, what?
Yeah.
£20. I mean, it's just, I think I'm shocked like you, because it's risen up in price very quickly over, a few years.
Well, I was thinking when I went to the Cardiff one a couple of months back, I think it was £8 to get in, which is about right. I thought it'd be, I thought £8. That's, I guess it's not as big as the London one, and certainly the guests there this year weren't anywhere near as big as they have been. So maybe that's why. Maybe, you're probably right. Maybe it depends on the scale of the guests they've got, which does make sense. But I must admit I did hold off because I want to buy a photo shoot with Michelle Gomez, which is £25. So I was thinking, so that's already £45, probably nearly 50 with the fees. I was thinking, I just can't afford this month. So that's why I didn't bother getting it. Do you know what I mean? It just adds up far, far too quickly. Yeah. But I still want to go, but I am now a little bit might have to just try and save up a little bit more before July, isn't it? Is it July? Yeah, July.
That's end of July, 21st or something, 19th or.
So I'm going to buy a bit. Yeah, I'm going to buy it a bit closer to the time when hopefully I've got a bit more money. It's just I don't want to leave it too late because just in case they announce somebody mega big and it sells out. Because like you, I've always just rocked up on the day and just gone swanned in. But I know sometimes this one does sell out. So won't leave it too late. But
yeah, I mean, we'll probably end. I mean, as much as we're having a bit of a whinge about it, we'll probably end up going anyway.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I guess I definitely want to go. So
it's just a bit of an initial shock to see the ticket price at 20 quid. That was all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been up to much else? Who-wise?
Who-wise? No, not really. Obviously watched the Aztecs. Yeah. Watched that last night, actually. I watched it digitally, this one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What, from the BBC store?
From the BBC store, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't think I was upstairs. I'd finished doing some work and then I was just chilling out on the bed with my iPad and I thought, let me just see how much it is on the store. It was a £5, so I just grabbed it on there and watched it.
Fair enough.
Headphones on. I just couldn't be bothered to go downstairs and put the DVD on, to be honest with you. So yeah, watch that. I've also completed my 7th Doctor DVD collection now.
Ah, right. What was you missing?
So I was missing Dragonfire and the Happiness Patrol.
Ah, right.
Which comes in that little Ace Adventures box set.
Yeah.
So they were the last two. So I've got all of the McCoy classics now.
That's strange because I was going to ask you the other week, actually. I forgot because you were saying how about your opinion of McCoy had so changed, dramatically changed. And I was going to ask you if there's any you hadn't seen yet. I wasn't sure, so that's good. So you've now got the whole lot. Yeah, so I've seen Dragonfire before, but now I've got it on DVD. The only one story that I've not seen of his yet is the Happiness Patrol. So, you've not seen it? Okay. So I will stick that on at some point, probably next week. But yeah, so I've got more. I think I'm fairly close. I've got Colin Baker. Actually, I've got all of Colin Baker's. I've got 7th Doctors. I'm almost there with Tom Baker's. You got all of eight Doctors yet? You got the 8th Doctor box set of all one of them. Yeah, actually, talking of the 8th Doctor, somebody spoke to us on Twitter, didn't they, a few days ago about the soundtrack to the 8th Doctor's movie. Oh yeah, yeah. And the name escapes me. Who was it? Basically, yes, it was a guy called M. McGee -Nerd Central. That's right. Because we said, because I forwarded you a tweet to say, the 8th Doctor's soundtrack is knocking about. Yeah, because I never realised it got a independent release. I thought I didn't know that. So apparently it did at some point, probably close to when it came out. It got like an official soundtrack release. Nobody answered my question there because I said I've never ever seen this in the UK. Was it a UK release or US? And no one answered. So maybe they didn't know, and I didn't. I forgot to Google it, but I'd be interested to know a bit more about this because I didn't know it got an official release. It did, yes. Yeah. It got a release in the US and Australia. Ah, and it's very hard to find, isn't it? Well. Oh. Well. Have you got it? It's en route. Really? Wow. Yeah. Where did you find it? On Good eBay. Old eBay. Good old eBay. Yeah, I found it on eBay for a tenner. And I had to pay a few quid shipping from Australia. But it's apparently new, sealed. So it's on its way. So so I said that the person who hit us up on Twitter, he said, let us know if we found it. And I found it. It's such a good soundtrack. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Oh, good find. Yeah, so it's on its way. So other than that, nothing else who-wise, buddy. No, that's good. It was interesting that guy sent us a couple of alternative covers for it as well, didn't it? And it was interesting because the best one they didn't use, or the better one, if you like, they didn't use, did they? They sort of went with this dark cover, which they should have gone with a prototype. It looked much better, didn't it? Yes. Colour-wise, yeah. Yeah, looked much better. Excellent. Yeah. So that's what we've been up to. Shall we see what's going on in the world of Who? Yes, let's land it. Shall we land it and do the news? First up, the 6th Doctor's back on the radio. Yes, Colin's back. Colin's back. Old Colin. Radio 4 Extra.
on Saturdays, 6 p.m.
Good time.
Can you listen to this digitally? So I'm just thinking, any of our listeners that are not in the UK, can you get Radio 4 Extra online?
Yeah, I think so. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it's on there. Yeah.
Should be able to listen to. I think most of the BBC stations are online.
Yeah.
The radio. So yes, there's a new Big Finish story, which is going to launch on BBC Radio for the first time in years. Apparently,
It's been a while. Yeah.
has been a while. It's going to be on so Saturdays at 6 p.m. and the story is The Crimes of Thomas Brewster.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So that's going to kick off. Is it this Saturday? I think. Hold on 1 second.
I was going to say, yeah, I remember there's a whole series of the Thomas Brewster ones from what I remember. Yeah, with the companion is Maggie Staples in these. Yeah,
Yes.
they're quite good fun, actually.
Actually, you'll be able to listen to these on iPlayer.
Ah, right.
Yes, because I forgot that iPlayer also does all the radio stuff.
Yeah, I
'cause
never
do-
think to look at it there.
Yeah. So this looks really good. I'm really glad that the Doctor Who audio is back on the radio because I think they did this going back many years now. Didn't they do a load of stuff on BBC 4?
Yeah, it was the Paul McGann ones, wasn't it? You know when they did like the Eighth Doctor Adventures, so
That's
they were just
right.
like his own little run. And they started with a Cyberman two-parter. What was that called? I'm forgetting now, but yes, it was good. It was good to have because you know a bit of McGann back, and he was on the radio and stuff. Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, and I think that was before it was Radio 4 Extra, just good old BBC Radio 4.
That's right. Yeah.
So yes, that's really good. Big Finish, starring Colin Baker. Also features Maggie Staples
Yeah, she's very good actually. I like
as
Maggie.
Evelyn. Yeah, pretty good. And your buddy David Troughton
Oh.
as Raymond Gallagher. So yes, and also apparently on this weekend they're going to repeat the 50th anniversary program. Who Made Who? Which was presented by Tracy Ann Oberman. I always get that name wrong. Tracy Ann Oberman.
I always say Uberman, don't I? It's an Oberman.
Is it Oberman? I think it is.
It is Oberman, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going out at 7 p.m.
Yeah. I don't remember that. I don't know if you've heard it before. Have you? That Who Made Who? I don't remember that one.
No, because before Big Finish, I wasn't really into like the whole radio, tuning into what's going on the radio sort of thing.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So apparently, so really good that some Who stuff is going back on the radio, and it's even better that you can catch it all. So both of those, the Big Finish story, The Crimes of Thomas Brewster, and the documentary Who Made Who, will both be on iPlayer over the next month.
Yeah. Big Finish for free. That's always good, isn't it?
Yeah, so check it out.
That's cool. Okay, in other news, those of you with wads of cash to spare, get yourself over to Bamford's Film and Memorabilia Sale that's taking place in Derby on the 8th of June. They're having a big sale of props and costumes, and a lot of them are from our beloved show, Doctor Who. And I've been looking at the list of stuff available. No Time of the Rani Brain this time, which is sad. My blimmin' partner said, oh, you should have got that brain.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, that's not what you said at the time.
Yeah, backtracking there, buddy.
Backtracking.
Yeah.
But there is some good stuff here. There's a few little oddities as well. So let's have a look down the list. So you've got the Magma Beast from Caves of Androzani.
Oh, yeah.
That made me think of Bob Fleming from the Proctor Who podcast. If you're listening, Bob, I know you love the Magma Beast, so maybe you might want to stump up some cash for that one. Magma Beast. It is Magma, isn't it? I'm saying
Magma,
it right. Yeah. Cyberman costume looks like the Cyber Leader, actually, presumably David Banks.
From Earthshock. Yep.
Yeah, we've got a slightly wonky Ice Warrior costume. Looks like he's been through the wars.
Yeah.
That one. We've got the Snake from Snake Dance.
Oh, yes. Fifth Doctor, sorry, is it?
Fifth Doctor, yeah.
Yep.
Snake Dance. The Mara Snake
That's it. Yep.
effigy, yeah. And this is quite exciting. You've got the pinball machine, which we very often talk about. Now, these aren't that easy to get, are they? And this is...
No.
Oh, I'd love one of these in the hall. I would just absolutely love to get my hands on one of those. Goodness knows how much they'll sell for. But
That'll be... Yeah, I don't think we'll
can
be
you
able
imagine?
to
It's
afford
the
that one.
ultimate, isn't it? It's the ultimate thing for a Who fan to have in his house.
It's
that
awesome.
pinball machine.
Yeah.
What else we got? We've got a strange-looking Davros mask. I don't know where that's from because that doesn't look... I don't know. It doesn't quite look right to me, but presumably it's a real one. I don't know. It doesn't quite look right, that Davros mask, but
yeah, it does look quite cool.
Does.
Yeah. What else we got? Coin-operated Dalek Fairground amusement ride.
Yeah, that's interesting because
That look good in the front room.
it looks very retro. Yeah,
It's a red Dalek, isn't it, with the black balls?
That's it.
There's also an actual Dalek, a very rare original Dalek prop in the red paintwork with the silver balls from the Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Oh, I love those. I love those Daleks.
That one's going to go for serious money. And there's a few other bits. It's mainly costumes, isn't it? Outfits. There's like stuff from the Horns of Nimon, Paladon, Caves, Creature of the Pit, Resurrection of Dalek. So loads of classic stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. There's also a fruit machine. A Doctor Who fruit machine, which I never knew existed.
Just seen that? No,
Yeah.
I didn't. No, I don't remember that. No, I don't think I've seen that before.
One of the coolest things on here, though, is the actual TARDIS prop used in the Doctor Who stage show.
Oh, is that the? Oh, what was that called? Is that the one with it had John Pertwee and Colin Baker in it?
That's
What's
right.
that movie called?
Yeah. So it
The
doesn't.
Ultimate Adventure.
Yes.
The Ultimate Adventure. Is it that one?
Yeah. So obviously it's not exactly the same design as you would see from the classic years or even in the modern years, but it's still, a full-size TARDIS replica.
Yeah.
Used. It's not canon, is it? But, still great.
Well, I don't know. Pertwee might have brushed his hand against it, adding on a few noughts.
Yeah. So that was going to go for loads of dosh.
If you were going to have one thing off of here, and I'm going to exclude the pinball machine because I know we'd both have that. But if you were going to go for one thing on here, what would it be? Do you reckon?
It would probably be the Dalek from Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Yeah. Good shout. Yeah.
What about you? Same.
Well, if you're nabbing that, let's say you've outbid me on that. I quite like the coin operated thing. I think that looks very retro, but I've just got visions of me trying to get in it and not being able to get back out. It's got like a little hatch at the side.
It's only got a very small
It's
door
clearly
on the side.
for kids. Yeah, I can just see me trying to cram into that and getting stuck. Actually, I quite like the Earthshock Cybermen outfit, but again, I have visions of it splitting at the seams with me trying to get into it. So, I don't know. The snake thing looks really good, but I think that would freak me out because it's like pink and yellow and it looks... I think that would freak me out having that in the in the house. I'm going to go for the Magma Beast because Caves is such a classic story.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the Magma Beast. I'll prop him up in the corner of the room. He'd look pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Looks good. So if you want to check out, it's the website is Bamfords. So BAM for mother, FORDS. Bamfords, and the website is bamfords-auctions.co.uk. And if you just stick Doctor Who up in the search box at the top there, you'll get the Doctor Who auctions. And I think when does this stuff actually kick off? Because you can inquire at the moment. You can't actually bid on anything as yet.
8th of June is the actual. It's Wednesday.
8th of June.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So it's worth having a look just to see some of the stuff on there, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to jump on there just out of just to see what the prices actually are for some of it.
Yeah.
I might throw my hand in there just to say I've bid on something and hope that I get outbid.
If you're wearing one of these costumes next week on the podcast, I'll know what's happened. Yeah. Or you've just got that snake wrapped around your neck. You just do that.
Yeah.
Very
or you'll just see
style.
me like rocking around in this Dalek little kid's toy thing. So yes, grab yourself some memorabilia from the classic years if you can afford it.
Yeah.
That's going to do for news. We haven't really got much in the way of merchandise this week. I haven't seen anything significant worth talking about. The only thing that's been released would be yesterday. the 1st of June. So that would be Titan Comic release day. And there's a slew of new comics in the current run. So Torchwood number 2.
Oh, yeah.
The year 2 comics for the 9th, 10th and 11th Doctors. So number 5 in the 9th Doctor run, issue number 14 in the 10th Doctor run, and issue number 11 in the 12th Doctor run. So if you're into your Titan comics, they were all out yesterday, so go out and grab those. I'm going to do for news and merch there.
Okay.
Adam,
Yes,
what are we
my
doing
dear.
this week?
This week we are drifting back to the 15th century for the Aztecs.
Death came out of the tomb, and the man who discovered it later disappeared in the garden. And on the wall there's a stone with Yetaxa's sign on it.
You mean there's a tunnel from there to the tomb?
Yes, that's what I suspect.
Where did you get hold of this?
My fiancée.
I see. You're what?
Yes, I made some cocoa and got engaged. Oh, don't giggle, my boy. It's neither here nor there. We must find that tunnel tonight.
Yes, all right.
Now, I'll wait for you in the garden, and when Ixta's asleep, you come out.
Yes, I will, all right. Oh, by the way, Doctor, congratulations.
The Aztecs
Best line in it. I love that bit.
Made
Made some cocoa and got engaged.
got engaged, as only the Doctor can do.
Yeah.
So the Aztecs, this was out in 1964. It's a 4-parter. And I'm going to say this now while I remember, because I'll probably forget later. But it's potentially one of the most perfectly paced classic 4-parters that you can get hold of.
Yes, yeah, I'd go along with
I
that.
would
It's
say.
very well paced.
Just
yeah.
going to mention that, because I know a lot of the classic stuff can stretch out over the 6 parts and even longer. But this one, in terms of the story and how it progresses over the 4 parts, is one of the best.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Yes. So, as we all know, starring the first Doctor, William Hartnell, with the TARDIS team of Susan, Barbara and Ian,
Yeah.
or Ian, as they call him in this. And the TARDIS team have landed way back in the 15th century in the Aztecs. It is in Mexico, isn't it?
Mexico, yes.
And while they're rifling through some of the possessions in the tomb that they've landed, Barbara finds a serpent bracelet thing. She sticks that on, and as she gets discovered, they see her wearing this and they mistake her for the god. What's it called? The god Yetaxa.
Yetaxa,
sorry. So they mistake her for the god Yetaxa, and but there's one particular character who's absolutely against the idea from the off, and then the story basically progresses with this kind of to-in and throw-in, where it's one particular character tries to prove that Barbara is not this god, and then she's also trying to gain the trust and make friendships with other people in the camp to prove that she is. And along the way, some of the companions get roped into combat, potential punishments in front of the Aztecs, and all sorts of stuff, and then culminates in the end with just barely being able to escape in the TARDIS. So the Aztecs, off the bat, mate, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a great little story, this one.
Glad you said that.
I agree with you about the pacing. I must admit, I think it is really nicely paced, because even stories that I really like from early Who, they do sometimes have pacing issues where you think, like you said, you end up sort of zoning out a bit or looking at your watch or phone, whatever, So, yeah, it is really nicely paced. It's a good little story. It's strange, actually, because when you look at the actual storyline, like you said, it's... the story is nice and simple, isn't it? It's just, it's just like you said, back and forth.
Yeah.
I think, but because we get some good characters in it, and also it's nice to have Barbara as center sort of stage, because I like the character of Barbara. So yeah, overall, I really really like this story. I think it's a really good little gem from. It's really weird to say this from the first series of Doctor Who, because it was like the sixth story, I think. Is that right? Sixth story in the very first series.
That's right. Yep.
So still very early days for Doctor Who when this went out. But I think the cast gelled great and everything. So yeah, I'm with you on this one. I like it a lot.
Good stuff. Yeah, I like it massively. I think it's one of my favourite. I think it's one of my favourite classic stories, really, from all of Classic Who.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say one of your favourite first Doctor stories, but one of your favourite classics.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's one of my fave classics in the way that it was so cleverly directed and so cleverly written. I think one of the things that springs to mind, I think I've seen this like 4 times now. And one of the things that always springs to mind after I've watched it, and I think one of our listeners actually said a similar comment when we get on to the listener reviews a bit later, but the production on it is so simple. I think it's 3 sets. I think it's 3 sets all in all. And they managed to make a 2-hour story just as engaging throughout and interesting, and it's every time I watch it, I feel like I've just been to the theatre.
Yeah,
because it feels exactly like a play. Because you can imagine if you go to a West End show or something like that, the sets change, but it's the same environment. So the sets might change a little bit, and the scene, with the scenes, but it's the same environment, and it's the same with this. There's only a few scenes or a few sets that they created for it, or 3 or 4, because there's the initial little tomb area. There's the bit just outside the tomb where Barbara sits for the majority of the story, which goes out into this sort of patio area, and then it's got these brilliant sort of huge paintings that look like you're looking out across, the Aztec population and all the buildings and so on. Then you've got the garden, and then you've got the little bit where Ian has his fight. He has his fight.
Oh, the fight, yeah.
So you've got those little areas, and that's it. That's all you have pretty much for the entire story.
Yeah.
So it just moves from little scene to little scene, and it relies solely on the amazing acting skills of the cast and the writing.
Yeah.
There's no huge, the only visual effect we have is right at the very beginning where you see the little tiny toy TARDIS.
Oh, yeah.
Dematerialize.
And that's right. Yeah, I was going to say, and I think that was reused from the week before, I think, as well.
Probably.
So it's just like, that's the only bit, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. And that's it. That's the only visual effect we have in the entire story.
Yeah.
Everything else is just good old-fashioned, almost a stage play.
It is. I get where you're coming from with that. It totally is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that really great feeling after watching it every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just incredibly written. So I love it for that. Right, story. The Aztecs.
Sacrifice.
Real kind of historical, educational almost story, this one. And I think that was kind of the mission, wasn't it, for Doctor Who when it very first started, because it had the ability to travel back in time and so on, as well as forward in time. But one of the big pulls, especially for younger viewers at the time, was that it was almost surreal to go back in time and visit these ancient populations and so on. So I think that was one of the primary things, wasn't it? It was an educational, historical story, because it does try to stay fairly factual.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, when Doctor Who first started, that was their intention a lot of the time, wasn't it? To sort of mix it up and have some stories that were just, like the Daleks, that were sort of fantasy, but then also because you've got this brilliant concept of the time machine to actually, try and help educate kids as well. Because, obviously it was very much aimed as a kids show when it started. So yeah. And I think this very often gets regarded as one of the best sort of historical Who's from the classic era, and you can see why, because it's it puts it out there for you to see. It doesn't mess around. I mean, it's all about the fact that the Aztecs used to have this human sacrifice, thinking it brought rain, which
right.
of course it didn't, which is what Barbara tries to stop. She's horrified by it and leads to one of the all-time classic lines, and it's the first time it's said, isn't it, where the Doctor says to Barbara, you can't rewrite history, not one line.
That's it.
And he's really going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that, even that scene just sends a shudder down my back, because it's just Hartnell delivering it like only Hartnell could. So yeah, but it's a great historical story, you're right. And you also, without even realising it really, you also sort of absorb a bit of knowledge. So it is a bit educational as well, but it doesn't feel like it's, ramming it down your throat. It's just part of the story, and it works really well.
Yeah, it does, because they've got some of the costumes. I'm assuming they did some research into some of that stuff. Some of the costumes,
some very fetching headgear.
Some headgear, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, the huge paintings that make up the backdrop for some of these sets.
Oh yeah,
are incredible. They're huge as well. Massive paintings, and the architecture's quite accurate. And also some of the social aspects of the Aztecs as well, like the whole thing about marriage and sacrifice and all that stuff. So that's one of the good aspects about this. Like you say, it's not rammed in your face. You must learn.
Yeah, but you kind of just take it in, don't you?
Yeah, you just get swept away with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like the whole Aztec thing, the whole educational stuff like that. What did you think to watching this as a 4-parter? Because it is very old now. And thankfully, the special edition version, the picture is pretty good.
It is,
The picture quality's been, it's all been restored and sorted out. But if you just jump online, you'll be able to see plenty of clips from the unrestored version where the picture quality is very, very wavy and shaky, and there's dirt all over the film and everything like that. So luckily we've been treated to a restored version, but it's still, you can absolutely tell that this is back in the 60s and it's very old. But it just seemed to be, initially I was going to say ahead of its time, and it wasn't really, because it has all the sort of hallmarks of a TV show that was made back in the 60s. But the direction and the writing in this one, I just found it to be on point for pretty much most of each episode. It just never seemed to let up for me. I don't know if you found that. It was paced in these really nice, sort of intense conversations, then these nice little conversations between the Doctor and other people. Then it go back to intense stuff, and then back down again with the Doctor very calm and in the garden having some cocoa with his fiancée, and then then it go back up and there'd be like a fight scene with Ian, and then it go back down. So it was this really lovely sort of up and down throughout every episode.
I think,
do you know what I mean?
I do. I think the majority of that is bang on. It's one of the things that's quite difficult with Doctor Who back then is when we come to fight scenes, they can very often be really hard work to watch, because they can, they're just so fake and rehearsed and clumsily filmed, and thankfully in this one they're not too bad, because we get a couple of fight scenes, don't we? But they're pretty decent, like I said, for the time. They're not great. They're not. Don't get me wrong. They're not. Yeah. You're not going to watch it and sort of be covering your eyes thinking, "Oh no, Ian's about to get killed." But yeah, I do think the direction's pretty good in this for the time. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not Adric bad.
No,
they're not quite Adric bad, are they? But I think because just fight choreography back then was just very. It just looked a bit laboured, didn't it?
Yeah.
Compared to sort of action sequences in today's TV and film, where it's very, very fast paced and cut together very quickly, and it just seems very, because the way it's edited, it's just very long and laboured. Even like one blow with a club, it's like.
But you saying about the direction, the good thing he tries to do it is because very often they would just literally have a camera on them while they sort of very slowly did this choreographed fight. Yeah. But in this one, the director, who was the director, by the way, John Crockett, he does try and mix up a bit, because we get some sort of first-hand shots, don't we? So we actually get shots cut in where you're sort of seeing sort of, what do you call that, when you're seeing the
first-person view.
Yeah. So that does help slightly, just break up, the sort of fight sequence that we used to get back then.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what I meant by when I thought to myself it was ahead of its time. But it's not really. But when you see scenes like that where it cuts in, where it cuts into the guys actually running towards the camera and taking swipes at the camera and stuff, and it cuts back to the other person. That sort of stuff you didn't really see. Especially
no, they didn't used to really have
the
the time for it in Doctor Who back then. They just didn't have the time to sort of do what were then sort of complicated things. It used to be just like, no, it's just got to get it shot and in the can and out. So it's quite nice that they've gone that little bit further in this. Yeah,
and hats off to the production in this as well. And I'll probably mention it quite a few more times as we go on, but just what they had to work with in terms of studio set was just incredible. Yeah.
They are nice sets. Yeah, there's a little book out. I've always wanted to get it. Just of pictures of the sets. Who's the set designer? Because they book the riddle photographs of the sets. This one features quite prominently in it. It's not Barry Newbury, is it? People will be screaming out at us again. But anyway, there is a nice little book somewhere out there, which I may pick up now. Whenever I go to FP, they've always got it in there, and it's quite expensive because it's quite a small little book. And I always pick up and flick through it just to look at the old sets. But I've never bought it, but I might do now.
Okay. I think it's quite a rare book now, I would say. I don't think it had a particularly large print run.
No, it didn't. It's like 25 quid for quite a small little book. Yeah.
But if you're into that stuff, though, like I am, might be worth pick up. Production-wise, directing-wise, I think it was just all gelled together really well to make use of a really small recording studio, small sets, but every scene is quite key. So some of the 6-parters or the 8-parters in classic years, we sometimes say that it could benefit from being a 4-parter because they could have chopped that out. Didn't need to go on that long. I think this one, every scene is pretty much key to the story because the conversations that happen between all the different characters really do push the story forward. There isn't one particular scene where you think, well, that was irrelevant or we could have done without that, because every scene leads on to a consequence in the following scene.
It builds quite nicely, doesn't it? Yeah. Because like sometimes episode 3 of stories can drag, and this one doesn't really. It did. Yeah, you're right. It does all kind of build up quite well. Yeah. Really well written. So John Lucarotti. Yeah, I've not heard of him. Did he do any other Doctor Who's? That's what I was just going to have a look at, because I was quite curious, because I liked this story and I've watched it quite a few times, but bizarrely never really sort of thought about the writer much, because it is like you said, it is well written. And I don't know if this was his only Doctor Who. Did he do? Let's have a look. Doctor Who in the 50s, 3 series. Oh, Marco Polo. Right. He did Marco Polo as well. So so he's, like you said, very well written. It's just not a name that, if ever you sort of think of Doctor Who writers, that you always sort of tend to talk about the same ones. And this is a great story, but his name doesn't very often come up.
Yeah, he did an early script for The Ark in Space as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I think it was messed with quite a lot by Robert Holmes, but yeah.
I never knew that. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So the little sort of sweet gems that he's contributed to Doctor Who have been really good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't drag him back by the collar into the office and sat him down and forced him to write some more stories. But really well written, this one. Great dialogue. Characters. He wrote some great characters for this one. So great dialogue, great characters, and John Crockett direction, very, very good for what they had to work with back in the 60s and hardly any money. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about cast.
Yeah.
Talk about cast. We're going to struggle here, aren't we?
I know. I was saying to Gary before we started recording, as soon as I started watching this, I was laughing because I knew we were going to struggle with the cast names in this. A, pronouncing them, and B, actually remembering who was who. Because all the way through, I was thinking, I was trying to make notes so I didn't forget. I was like, what's his name? Who's that? Yeah. Because we get some interesting names.
Yeah. So I think there's 4 there's four main support cast characters, isn't there? There's the woman that the Doctor gets inadvertently engaged to.
I love that.
Kamika.
Yeah. Kamika.
There's the warrior guy who has a bit of a tiff with Ian throughout the entire story, called Ixter.
Is he the one that Ian brings down with one finger?
Yes, he does.
Oh, I love that. So Ian don't take no bleep, does he?
No.
I love that scene.
He's Andy, isn't he, with his thumb?
Yeah.
Then there's then there's the guy who's the high priest of sacrifice, and his name, he's called Latoxor, and I'm pretty sure it's a silent T at the beginning.
Yeah,
because it's got a T, but then it's L, and they never pronounce the T from what I've
and is he the one that looks sort of like a, I don't know, skinny man? Or is he the one that's sort of got the blackened stripe across his mouth?
Yeah, he's the one that's like a Disney character throughout this story.
Yeah.
And then there's the other guy called Ortlock, who's the high priest of something else.
He's the one who sort of sides with Barbara, yeah?
He befriends Barbara, yeah. And
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, he buys into the whole thing that she's a god. And whereas Latoxel,
he's having none of it.
Possibly one of the best characters ever written in Classic Who, was just so funny without even trying to be funny. He was like a sidekick in a Disney film. He was like one of the little evil sidekick characters that you find in an animated movie. He was just so... Oh, crikey. We'll come on to it anyway. It was so funny. But for the most part, I thought the supporting cast were really good. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I think that the supporting cast are very good. Yeah. Really
cool. So let's talk about Kamika very quickly. She was the woman that sort of mopes around the garden. Because I'm not sure if this was factually accurate, but apparently the Aztecs, when they get over a certain age, which is very early retirement age, I think it's just 50 or something.
Yeah. They didn't live as long then, don't forget.
Of course, yeah. But they have the right to then give up whatever work and just spend every day relaxing in the garden.
Sounds good, yeah.
Just pondering around, having a natter with people, admiring the view. And Kamika's one of these people. She lost her husband, didn't she? Quite a few years before this point. So she's a widow. The Doctor, she clings to the Doctor because he's so charming in this. Yeah, he's so nice and charming. She clings onto him, and she is quite sweet. Really, she falls for him, doesn't she? Big time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
literally falls for him. He wants to marry him, but if you haven't seen this story, it's not in a stalkery way. She doesn't fall for him, and she's like all over him in a weird stalker way, everything like that. It's all very sweet, and I think she's just looking for love.
Yeah, those scenes between her and Hartnell are just so good, aren't they? Yeah, they're so nice.
Yeah, and there's one scene where the Doctor confuses going off to make some a cocoa drink, coming back. He confuses that with some kind of proposal to her, and she says, something like, I accept your proposal. And that's that brilliant scene where the camera shoots down onto Hartnell's face, and he's got that look of terror and shock in his face, and he's like, oh geez,
what have I done?
There goes the journey around time and space. Now I've got a ball and chain. Because you can see that in his face. He's thinking, oh crikey. So that I always crack up at that scene.
I love it. Yeah, it's such a great little scene.
Yeah, it's like when people wake up in Vegas and they're married and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah, what did I do last night?
Yeah,
too much cocoa.
So she's very cool. She plays that really well. Yeah. What about Ixter, the warrior?
Ixter, that's the one that Ian fights with, is it?
That's the one that they have like a kind of playground.
Yes.
I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. Thing. So Ixter, he's the warrior guy that Latoxel sort of gets on his side, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, he sides with. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a big old scrap at some point in the story, don't they?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's fine as a supporting cast, but you do love it when he gets taken down.
He's very cocky.
He's very cocky. Yeah, you're just like, come on, Ian. You can do this.
Come on, Ian. Take this guy down big time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's okay. I thought they could have maybe cast somebody a bit physically stronger.
Yeah.
Because he's not really the biggest guy. He's meant to be like a guy that's won various battles and he's going to, as long as he can defeat Ian, he's going to command the armies of all that stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, yeah, you would have thought that they would have cast somebody a bit more, like when we reviewed the Troughton story recently, the Cybermen, when they go...
Oh, you're thinking of Toberman?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great casting for somebody like of that type of stature,
Oh, yeah, because he was built like a brick. Yeah.
Yeah, so you would have thought that they would have cast somebody more similar to that.
Yeah, but then maybe it wouldn't have been so convincing when Ian takes him down with his thumb.
I don't know.
Yeah?
I don't know. Because that was almost a, I'm not a Trekkie, you're a Trekkie.
Yeah.
Isn't that almost like, what's his name? What's that death grip called where...
Oh, Spock?
Spock.
You're so not a Trekkie, are you?
I'm not a Trekkie at all.
No, Faye Garrett's not a Trekkie. Yeah, Spock, the Vulcan... The
Vulcan death grip, that's it.
Death grip, yeah.
Where he just puts like his finger and thumb on your neck and that's it, it's game over. Basically, Ian does the similar thing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was going to... Remember the first time I watched this, I thought, here we go, what's he about? Because he goes, I can bring a man down with just my thumb.
Ian's very sure of himself in this, isn't he? Actually.
He's a bit of a bruiser.
He is. He's really sort of like taking no nonsense in this episode.
Yeah. Completely does away with the typical nerdy looking school teacher.
Yeah.
Persona.
He's quite different to how he is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dishes out a few slaps, takes a guy down with just his thumb.
He does kill a guy later, doesn't he? Which is a bit strange.
Well, he has another
when you
fight,
think about it,
doesn't he? He has another fight with Ixter at the end and just basically tosses him over the edge of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And that's it. He's done.
That's right. So don't mess with it. Do not mess with Ian Chesterton.
He is good
because he won't do. Doesn't do these things lightly, but he will. He will look after himself. Yeah. There's another bit where a guy, when Barbara saves that guy from being sacrificed.
Yes.
Then he kind of just jumps over the wall, doesn't he? He's like, I wanted to be given to the gods. What have you done? And then
stripped
just like,
me of my honour.
Yeah, jumps over the wall. I was like, oh dear.
Yeah.
What's all going on?
That's a good point. There are a couple of death scenes in this. Nothing gruesome, but although you do see Ixter in like a crippled heap on the pavement when the camera's meant to show you his fall from like 200 feet or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that's, And mind you, Ixter does get his own back on Ian because the doctor, unbeknownst to the doctor, he doesn't know that Ixter's going to fight Ian. And he gives him like the little thorn.
Oh, the poison thorn,
the poison thorn, and said if you scratch him on the inside of his wrist, it won't kill him, but you'll be able to win the fight pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so Ixter does get a bit of a one-up on him there.
I love the fact the doctor's so blimmin', savvy in all these things, knows all these little tricks of the trade.
Well, he's probably been there numerous times before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ixter, he's a bit of a cocky dude. He knows he's won his fair share of fights and battles, but just no match for Arian.
No.
Yeah. What about Ortlock?
Ortlock. Oh, I like Ortlock a lot. He's the one that helps sort of sides with Barbara, and he believes all of her nonsense and stuff. But I really like him, like the actor, like the character. Love the look of that they've given him with his hair all brushed down and his costume is good character. Like him.
Cast pretty well as well. He's a fairly older chap in this. He's the high priest of knowledge.
He's got one of those faces, isn't he?
Yeah.
That actor. Do you know what I mean? He just totally suits that part.
Absolutely, yeah. So he's been around a bit, loads of wisdom and knowledge and all the rest of it. So really well cast. And he's he actually sacrifices his kind of reputation and everything towards the end, doesn't he? Because he goes through the story, really backing up Barbara as this god and always battling against Latoxel to say, she is this god and, really fighting the fight for her.
And I like it when he's with Susan as well, and she's like, "How dare you try and put me into an arranged marriage?" And he's really like shocked, isn't he? That that she's having none of it. He's quite upset actually.
Yeah,
he can't understand why she's so annoyed. He's like, "What's wrong with it?"
Well, that's cool because that's well written. Because I'm assuming anyway that there wouldn't be any women of that era who would refuse that or would stand up to him or anyone. So
he can't believe it, can he?
He's really shocked. Yeah.
But
so
he's a great little actor.
Really good casting. Yeah, Keith Piott or Piott. Keith Piott, I think. Really well played. Really underplayed as well. Never loses his cool. Even when he gets a slap on the head, and he's out for the count, he never gets angry. Always just retains that kind of almost regal persona about him.
Yeah, Regal's a good one. Yeah.
And so really cool. And then let's talk about Latoxel, who pulls some of the best facial expressions.
Some of them he has to hold for ages while they put the next week's caption up.
The end of episode 2.
They're like, right, hold that pose.
Yeah.
A little bit more. A little bit longer. And cut. And he's just really holding the bad guy gritting teeth pose.
I think that's at the end of episode 2 because he's having a little. It's quite funny really because he's talking to somebody in that scene, but it's almost like a monologue. It's almost like he's having a good old rant to himself. He winds himself up a lot of the time in this because nobody's really disagreeing with him, or apart from Ortlock. Nobody's really disagreeing with him, but he's still losing his cool a lot. He's still yelling at people. And then there's that scene at the end of episode 2 where he's like, "I will destroy her."
Hold it.
And then he's got that grimacing face. And the camera stays on him for what feels like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And he does that a lot. He has these really cool little moments where he's dare I say it, quite pantomime.
Yeah, I was going to say he could be accused of being pantomime, but I wouldn't say he goes over the top.
He's
very on the edge.
It's right on the line with it because there's quite a few scenes where he's like, "You," and like, I will defeat her. Yes, like real kind of
very
typical,
theatrical.
Yeah, but he's right on the line though because he's quite convincing with it because he feels very passionately that Barbara is not. She's a false goddess. He's very passionate about that and wants to prove her wrong. And some of the scenes where he's having this ruck with himself or a ruck with someone else, he's in it a lot as well. He's in it pretty much every scene. And unless it's the Doctor and Susan and Barbara Ian discussing how they're going to escape, because we have these little moments where they kind of get together very quickly before anyone else can find out that they're talking to each other and plotting to escape. When we haven't got those little bits, he's in it pretty much every scene.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Because he's arguing with Barbara, he argues with the Doctor, he argues with Ixter at the very beginning. He argues with
himself.
Kamika, he has a ruck with himself because he winds himself up. He's just all over the place, but he's brilliant to watch. That's the one thing I think you can almost forgive the borderline pantomime-esque performance because he's so entertaining with it.
Yeah.
And he's so funny. Even the scenes where he's not meant to be funny, I was like, this guy is just solid gold. He's just so funny. He's brilliant. So there he was played by John Ringham. And I'm assuming that because he did quite a few really old TV series, things like Bergerac, All Creatures Great and Small, Dixon and Doc Green.
Oh, wow.
Are You Being Served? The Avengers. Catweasel, Z-Cars, Poldark, War and Peace, Birds of a Feather. Some others do have him. He was really...
God, that's quite a back catalogue, isn't it?
Yeah, he played these... But the thing is, though, he never had like these big leading parts. He always had these really great little side parts in these... and I think that was pretty much what he's famous for. Just playing these really great little characters that just really support like what's going on in the story and stuff. So I know he's a bit over the top at times, but really liked his character. I thought he was great.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was gonna say it's good when he's on screen. It is a bit of slice of fried gold.
He's great. Yeah. Right, TARDIS team. What do we think to? Well, let's talk about Susan because she buggered off on holiday for most of this.
She did. Well, Yeah, well, Caroline Ford did, yeah.
What was going on with TV back then? Because didn't William Hartnell bugger off on holiday?
Yeah, and sometimes they would sort of write him out for an episode or two, and other times they'd sort of get somebody in a wig to just film a few scenes.
Because they're on a holiday. I mean, you would never... Can you imagine if Peter Capaldi just turned around and said, I won't be here for 2 weeks because I'm going off on a holiday? But like, what?
Yeah, in the middle of a story.
In the middle of a film. And there's like absolutely no way that would happen these days.
Yeah.
So I think it's just so funny that these characters disappear for like a complete 2.5 episodes. Yeah. And it's not because it was written that way. It's because they literally weren't here because they had just jumped on a plane and gone on holiday. It's just brilliant. So Susan's quite cool at the beginning, at the end. And she has these little... There is one scene with her in the middle where we have this thing with Ortlock and he says, you know, this other warrior guy comes in. He's like, I shall have her as my bride. And she kicks off and gets a bit upset.
Yeah.
She played that really well. I like that scene that she does there. It's quite emotional. But then she's just in it at the beginning and the end, and that's it, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do like the character of Susan, but I do find Caroline Ford is sometimes a bit weak. I don't think she's particularly good in this, but she's not even in it that much. But I wouldn't say the scene she's in, she's that good, to be honest. I think she's sort of a bit whiny and I don't know. I wouldn't say she's that great, to be honest, in this episode. I kind of feel like almost like she's can't wait to go on holiday. It's always as she's sort of thinking, can we just do this scene quickly so I can go? Because I don't really get much energy from her.
Duty free.
Yeah, come on, plane's leaving, got to go home and pack. I just don't get much emotion from Caroline in this, even though she's only in it a little bit. But yeah, she's fine. She's not bad at all, by any means. But I wouldn't say she's great in it. To be honest, I think out of all the TARDIS team, I think she's the weakest in this story.
Yeah, I liked her in that scene in near the middle, which I obviously filmed
she's getting married.
On,
yeah, it's the best. Yeah, she's all right.
She breaks down in tears a little bit, and she's quite good in that. But
I'm thinking of the scene where she's with Barbara, though. There's quite a nicely written scene between the two of them fairly early on, and it had the potential to be a really nice scene, like with the Doctor and Kamika. But I don't know, Caroline Ford just doesn't seem to put much into it, whereas Jacqueline Hill's giving quite a nice performance. So in terms of that, I just find she's a little bit weak in the story.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think those scenes at the beginning and the end, there's just not much going on, is there, in a way of sort of all-out performance or anything like that. She's just eager to get on the plane.
I suppose it's almost it almost feels like she didn't really need to be in the story because it's so much centered around Barbara and Ian. And it's probably not her fault because she probably was sort of written to do nothing so she could go on holiday. But she feels very inconsequential to the story, I think. Yeah.
Right, let's do Ian. Fantastic in this.
I just love. Yeah. I love William Russell. I love Ian Chesterton, the character. He's just I can't fault him. I think. I mean, I really like this TARDIS team, even though I'm saying Susan's not that great in this one, but I do love this early TARDIS team.
Yeah.
And Ian's a really important part of that, and I just think he's great in the scenes he's given. William Russell clearly loves playing this part. You just feel he's giving a lot of energy, a good performance. He just looks like he's having fun with it, and can't fault him at all, really.
Do you know what? I was going to say exactly the same thing. He looks like he's having loads of fun.
He does
playing his character in this story because they give him loads to do. He's like a bit of an undercover agent at times. He has to crawl through like flooding tunnels to escape. He has to, make sure there's ropes and stuff to make sure he get back in the tomb. He has that couple of big fights with Ixter.
Yeah.
So he has loads to do, and you can see. I can just envision in my mind William Russell reading this script for the first time, thinking, "Yes, this is going to be excellent. I'm going to have loads of fun on this." So he's really good as well. Even in the fight scenes where you wouldn't imagine someone like Ian to be really handy with like weapons and bringing people down, but no, he's great, really good.
And like we said, it's early on as well. It's the first series of Doctor Who, so they're still, they didn't know it's going to go on to be such a big success. Still finding their feet a little bit. Still trying to gel as a cast. So yeah, I just think he's great. I love William Russell.
Really good.
Yeah.
Barbara.
Jacqueline Hill
as Yetaxa.
Yes. Yeah.
Really good. What do you reckon?
I adore Jacqueline Hill. She just, what's the word? She not absorbs. What's the opposite of absorbs? What's the word I'm looking for? She gives off just elegance and I don't know what it is about Jacqueline Hill, but she's just fantastic. Yeah. She's one of those people I'm just sort of find her fascinating. I'd love to have met her or have even been in the same room as her. I don't know. There's just something about her. I just think if I was to sum her up in one word, it would be just class. She's just so classy. And yeah, great performance. It's perfect, the story that they give her being mistaken for this god, because she really, once again, a bit like William Russell, she really grabs the script with both hands, doesn't she? She really gets into it, and when she's pretended to be the reincarnation, she's really, really enjoying doing that. And then once they're out of the room and she's telling the Doctor and Ian what she's doing, she's sort of giggling and loving it. And I just think she's a brilliant performance. I just think she's great. Yeah, yeah.
In a lot of in the same way that William Russell would have looked at this and thought, this is great script. Really good sort of dual character. Stuff that I can get into. And you're right, she does love it. When she's playing Yetaxa, she's really into it. She takes on that character within the story really well. It's just that bloody Latoxel. He just tries to rumble her every time. But no,
exactly.
She's great. She's absolutely great. All of her scenes were great because it's really nice that she has those little moments where she giggles.
She can be really strong. Barbara, the character of Barbara, she can be really strong and put opinion across. And then other times she can be really vulnerable, and she plays both of those great. Yeah. Like the scene with the Doctor where he's really kicking off.
Gives her a good telling off, doesn't he?
He gives her a good telling off. Does he? He doesn't say smack bottom, does he? Is that a different?
No, that's a different story.
No, that's a different story. But he's really giving her a telling off. And I just think that is such a great scene between the two of them, because she sort of starts to sort of almost deflate because she's getting a rollick in, and then but then she starts sticking up for herself again, doesn't she? She's like, no, I'm not standing by and letting human sacrifices carry on. I'm not going to allow it. And she stands up to the Doctor, and he's just totally like lost for words. It's a great scene.
Yeah, because because the Aztecs were very much about human sacrifice, weren't they?
Yeah. She thinks she's going to put an end to it, and he's like, you're not changing history. Yeah,
not one line, yeah.
Not one line, yeah.
So that's great. And obviously, Mr. Hartnell.
Mr. Hartnell. He's great in this, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's just great.
He's just the Doctor. He
is the Doctor.
He's like... You can see that even in modern Who, that they take inspiration from some of the ways that he played certain stories, where just cool and collective throughout the story, knows that stuff's going to get done. He's got complete and utter faith and trust in his companions. Because there's a bit where I think Barbara's freaking out, and he's like, "No, calm down, my dear." Calm down, he just knows that everything's going to get cool. But when he needs to, get stuff done, he's there. He's very strict, and he tells people off. And he has that couple of little grumpy scenes. But for the most part, he's just enjoying, being in this time period and being around people, and just
getting engaged.
Yeah. So and William Hartnell does such a great job of flicking between the two. I was
just going to say that because he gets to do it all in this, doesn't he? He gets to go mad at Barbara about changing history. He gets to do all the nice, charming stuff with Kamika, where he gets engaged. He gets to do all that nice, soft side of him, and he gets to be quite clever by trying to help Ian with the poison thorn. So he gets to do a bit of lots of different emotions from that Doctor. And William Hartnell switches between those sides to his personality really, really well. It doesn't jar at all. Like when he's blowing up at Barbara, and then he clearly sees that he's maybe just gone a bit too cross. He switches to being charming so well, William Hartnell.
Yeah.
And that's why I get so cross when people say he's like the worst Doctor, and he's always people don't like Hartnell, because I think no, you've got it wrong. He's brilliant. He is harsh, but he's also really charming.
Yeah.
And he's got a good alien side to him as well. Like, I totally see him as the Doctor. Do you know what I mean? I just think he's great. Yeah,
absolutely. Couldn't agree more, mate.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to mention about this story before because you normally do this? You're like, no, it's fine, and then no. There was one thing.
No, only the music. I thought the music helped to it. I love. It's more like a sound effect actually. It's like the zoom sound effect they keep playing over, and it's brilliantly timed.
There wasn't much music in this really, which I think was a good thing.
Well, there's like a rumbling. I don't know if you noticed it. That's what I mean. I don't know if it's more sound effect than music, but yeah, it's like this sort of underlying dread rumble in a lot of scenes, which really, really adds to the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
Yes.
It just rumbles all the way through it, which is absolutely brilliant. But no, apart from that, I don't think I've got anything to add that you haven't already said. Sets are great. Cast, really, really great. Just overall, really, really good story, yeah.
Scores.
Whose turn first?
It's me.
Okay.
Easy one for me. This is a 9.
I thought you'd give it a 9. I'm going slightly lower. I'm going 8.5.
8.5.
8.5. I think it's really good. I'm only really knocking a score off for Susan, because I thought she's a bit weak, and yeah, the fight scenes are still a little bit 60s, although they've done quite a good job compared to some of the others that we see around this time. But yeah, very, very strong 8.5 from me.
Nice one, dude. Right, let's see what our awesome listeners thought of this one. Let's kick off with an audio review. This is Joe Sweeney.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you guys are well. So, I have been waiting for this for such a long, long time. My very first ever Who review. The Aztecs. You do have to forgive me. I can't remember every detail about the episode, because I only saw the episode once, because as I am new to the classic Who episodes, but I'll do my best. For what I can remember it is a good episode. It's got a strong pacing to it. The plot was good, and I like how it's all set in the 15th century. William Hartnell was good as the first Doctor, so was Ian, Barbara and Susan. But I do feel sorry for Ian when he kept being forced into combat with that warrior, and also I quite like it that they made Barbara the Queen. So overall, it's a good episode. So I'll give a score of 8 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, guys. Speak to you soon. Take care. Farewell.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Really appreciate you taking the time to record your views for us, buddy. I think we hear from Joe pretty much most weeks.
Yeah, we do. It's because Joe's watching them from the start, so he'll always he doesn't want to listen to the episodes we review that he hasn't watched yet, which is totally fair enough. So if we do an early one, he's I'm not sure how far he's got actually. Is he onto the third Doctor yet? I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But yeah, thanks a lot, Joe. Really cool. First of all, Twitter, Matt Goodacre at Matt Goodacre 42 says, definitely one of the best historicals. The Doctor has some great dramatic and funny moments. Susan isn't there enough to grate on me. Ian gets to play the action hero using brains and brawn. Barbara gets a gripping moral dilemma to explore along with a sinister villain. Great sets and a great supporting cast. 10 out of 10.
Wow, yeah.
George Garrity at G_Unit 91 says, one of the best pure historicals. I love how each character goes off to have their own separate plots. Being reunited at the end, the villain is really sinister too, showing that Doctor Who villains don't have to be monsters. Very true. This story really highlights our need for more pure historicals in the new series. Great story, 9 out of 10.
Cool, yeah.
John Boy, his name is at Johnny Boyo, says, one of my favourite William Hartnell stories. JH is great. Barbara shines in this. A joy from start to finish. Loved by both my hearts.
I like that.
Over on Facebook, Lewis Palmer. He says, having just watched this for the first time, I can say that this is a great Hartnell adventure. The main cast are fantastic in this, especially Jacqueline Hill and William Hartnell. Hill does well being the focus of the story, and there are so many things that Hartnell does that add to his character when he's together with his companions. It's a delight to watch. The story has the right mix of comedy, action and drama, and it's very entertaining. The effects are quite good and the music was very enjoyable. Negatives, I would say that the villain isn't that threatening to me, and Susan's story, while well acted, isn't interesting, and you can tell she really doesn't really have much to do. Overall, a fantastically acted, brilliantly directed, well-written gem. I can't wait to get the DVD. 8 out of 10.
Oh, that's good.
Sammy Satine, she said, so the first Doctor, Barbara, Ian and Susan land in Aztec times. Barbara goes into an Aztec temple, puts on the bracelet that belonged to an Aztec goddess, and suddenly she's the goddess to come to Earth in human form. Ian manages to get himself in a fight, the Doctor gets engaged, and Susan almost gets betrothed. This is also the first time we get the "you can't change history, not one line" speech from the Doctor. I like William Hartnell, but I feel the Doctor becomes a bit redundant when Ian and Barbara are around. It's better than the episodes after they leave because he gets more to do. I like Barbara and Ian, but I always feel like they take over. Susan is good, and I was cheering when she said she wouldn't be betrothed to anyone. Thank you very much. All in all, a very good story. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. I sort of agree about Hartnell being sidelined, but I don't know. Not in this story. I think William Hartnell's really, really good in this because he gets lots to do. He's very important to the story, but I think perhaps there are other stories where Ian and Barbara take over a bit, because I suppose that was always the idea back then, that they were supposed to do the action, and the Doctor was sort of like the clever main character. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know where she's coming from.
I think I know. Yeah. There are elements of that.
Yeah,
in certain bits. Let's do our last audio review. This is Owen Daly.
Hi guys, hope you're all well and enjoying the show this week. The Aztecs. I really love this story. It's great after having a pretty bad story last week, Victor, the Daleks, to go on to a really good story. This is my favourite 1960s story and my favourite William Hartnell story. I think it is superb. The writing by John Lucaratti, probably haven't pronounced his name right, but you know who I'm talking about. He is fantastic at writing, and I do believe he's written another Doctor Who story, but it has slipped my tongue and I can't remember what one he's written, but I think he really writes this one superb. And what I love most about the story, I believe, is because it is a pure historical. Pure historicals work very well, especially in the William Hartnell era, because there's one thing having an alien attacking the Doctor, but when there's stuff like the Aztecs attacking the Doctor, it adds a lot more threat to it, because the Doctor can't really actually stop these people, because he needs history to stay in course, which I think is a great way of adding threat to the story. And when Barbara threatens to change the course of history, it's really good because the Doctor introduces you cannot rewrite history, not one line, and I find that really, really intriguing. So overall, as I said, the Aztecs is my favourite William Hartnell story, and it is a definite 9.5 out of 10. Superb story, recommended. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Nice one, Owen.
Excellent, thanks very much.
Some good thoughts there.
Yeah.
Continuing on Facebook, Danny Brown says, how to do a historical right. The story is almost flawless from start to finish. The cast is fantastic. It's totally brilliant. 9 out of 10.
No, yeah, a lot of high scores.
Yeah, Finn Walsh says, hello, Gary and Adam. It's been a long time since I did this. Just been up to GCSEs and all that stuff. Let's get right into this. I love this story. I'm a real history buff, and that's why I love it. It feels real and compelling, and location sets feel real. Acting is superb, with direction as well. Absolutely love this story. A solid 10 out of 10.
Oh, cheers, Finn.
Hope you did well, or hope you are doing well in your GCSEs, buddy. Jeff Waddle says, the best historical of them all by far. My favourite Hartnell, just goes to show what a good story you can write without having any aliens or monsters. Intrigue, comedy, drama, a good insight into a bygone society. Absolutely tremendous from start to finish. Oh, how I wish they'd kept to this idea of not being able to change history. Almost play-like in places, which adds to the atmosphere. 10 out of 10.
Wow, that's got to be Jeff's highest score, isn't it, so far that we've had?
I believe so.
Yeah, wow.
Joseph Howarth says, everything about this story is so well done and brilliant that it's essentially one of my favourite stories, not just from Doctor Who, but from the William Hartnell era in general. From the vicious threat of Latoxel trying to trip up Barbara every turn to the Doctor's hilarious proposal to Kamika, it's a well-crafted story that I absolutely adore. Thank you, Mr. Hartnell. If it weren't for you, I would never become a fan of Doctor Who and listen to these awesome guys every Friday. I thank you, Mr. William Hartnell, 9 out of 10.
Oh, brilliant. Great stuff.
Did you have anything over on the Geeks Handbag Facebook page?
Yeah, I had a couple. Kieran Knight, this is going to be fun trying to read this through my cracked screen. I just saw this. I dropped my phone the other week, so it's it is literally smashed to bits. But Kieran Knight says, great historical that gives Barbara and... See, I've stumbled already. Great historical that gives Barbara and to a certain extent Ian quite a lot to do while Caroline Ford was on holiday. A nice four-parter with a memorable villain. Jason Howells says, one word sums up this one for me. Brilliant, in great big capital letters. Enough said. And Ben Smith says, one of the best Hartnell stories and the first ever episode to deal with the implications of changing time. Barbara shines here, the villain is menacing, and the fight sequence at the end is surprisingly good for the time. A truly fantastic plot. Ben is giving it 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of love for this. Didn't have any negative, did we? Nothing.
Not really. A few little things about characters, but overall,
yeah,
some high scores.
That's pretty good going for an early one as well. Yeah,
it's good stuff. Right, that was the Aztecs. Thank you so much for sending in your thoughts and audio clips and so on. Really appreciate that. Next week, strap in.
Yeah,
buckle
we're changing it up. We're changing it up.
It's gonna go down big time. A bit of a change to scenery for next week, dude. What are we gonna do next week?
Next week, it will be a Big Finish review. It's the first proper Big Finish review we've done, isn't it? So it'll be the 10th Doctor Adventures box set.
Yep.
We'll be sort of going through all 3 stories in that set next week.
Looking forward to that. So, in regards to spoilers, if you haven't listened to this story yet, we will be talking about plot points and characters and elements in the story, so we can't avoid spoilers completely. Just to let you guys up front know now, there will be spoilers. We will try and not go too deep so that you can still enjoy it. If you want to listen to the show and then pick up the story afterwards, that'll be fine. But there will be elements that will be revealed in next week's show. So, just to give you forewarning. Don't want flooded on Facebook and Twitter like, what the hell, guys? I haven't listened to this yet. You've just spoiled. So there will be a few spoilers next week. So the 10th Doctor's Adventures next week.
Yes.
Big Finish. Looking forward to that. And I think we're going to do there for episode 93.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for sticking with us and listening to this week's show. It's been great talking through the Aztecs. I was really wanting to do this one for so long, but
I was convinced we'd already done it. I was absolutely convinced. I know it's jumped around the schedules, and I'm sure we've talked about it, because even up until the start of this week, I was going back through checking. I was sure we'd done it, but there you go. We have now.
So yeah, it's been great. Make sure you check out the auction this week as well.
Yeah.
When's that? Wednesday, this coming week.
8th.
Wednesday, the 8th of June. Make sure you we'll stick a note in our show notes and on Facebook and so on as well. So let us know if you pick up any very expensive classic Who memorabilia.
Yeah.
Which will be great. Next week, like we said, it's going to be our first Big Finish review, which is the new 10th Doctor Adventures. So if you've listened to that, make sure you send us in your reviews via audio, video, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you like. It's up to you. Go to the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can check out this episode and all the previous ones on there, plus you can link off to Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. Also head to the website /subscribe. We had a raft of new subscribers onto the newsletter, which is good. So put your email down on there and you'll get us in your inbox every week, which is nice. Also, check out Adam's channel, The Geeks Handbag, over on YouTube and Facebook. Loads of really cool videos there. If you haven't subscribed to his channel yet, you need to do so. So after you've listened to this, go straight to YouTube, search for The Geek's Handbag, and click on subscribe. And you'll be better off for it.
Thanks, Gary.
Rightio. Thank you very much again. Until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...